Hi there, welcome to Lav-Living Wellness channel again. You are with Dietitian V. Today we are continuing with our conversations. And just as you sit to have tea and coffee and maybe a little bit of a glass of wine, press the like button even before we start. All right, so what are we talking about today? Today we're going to talk about, we are continuing our series on cardiometabolic health syndrome. So I just want us, we did a series when we looked at the health of males. We're still continuing to talk about male health. You know how we do our talks. We will discuss a little bit of the medical issue, and then we'll talk about how you may experience it. We'll also talk about the lifestyle, food, and dietary contributing factors that may contribute to you having that condition. And then in the end, we'll look at what you can do actually to better your life. All right, so, and that's the conversation that we are having today. Why am I seeming like men? Generally, we all know men hardly ever go to make their medical consultations. When they get the diagnosis, often they do not seem to follow suit in terms of their treatment, taking medications. Adherence tends to be a lot more poor for males than it is for females. Not only that, so you find that generally men tend to wait until there are complications and then they now seek help. So on this channel, as we're saying, this is a wellness channel. So we try to discuss all things that we can do to take charge of our health, to improve our health. And of course, we can't forget our brothers. Our men are very much important, and we would love for them to also participate in taking care of their health. So at the main, two things that we will look at today is the abdominal fat, umkhaba. We grow up knowing that male belly thing. It's an indication that everything is well. So when you see a man with a big belly, the first thing that comes to mind is that he must have a lot of money. And because he's money, he eats everything and anything that he wants. He drinks everything and anything that he wants. And that also comes with a big price. Big belly, big price to pay. So that's the thing. And unfortunately, as a male, you can't necessarily avoid completely low umkhaba, but there's much that you can do in terms of how you eat, in terms of how you live, that you can reduce the burden of the belly fat. A little bit of it might be there, but what you're trying to avoid is the extent to which it begins to affect your health. That's one thing that we're going to look at. I would have also loved for us to talk about gout, but I think we'll talk about gout at the next one. And with gout, it's not because gout tends to affect men, it just affects men in the most, but it affects men and women alike. So as we talk about the belly fat, I've got something that I promised you last time. Yeah, it's the cinnamon plunge tea. So remember on one of our videos, I was saying to you guys, instead of having a good cup of coffee, which I love and I know you love, but instead of doing that, try and have a cinnamon tea. And my reason being, cinnamon tends to improve your metabolic rate, and it tends to help you to minimize the extent of the belly fat, whether you're female or male. So that's my cinnamon tea. I made it at home. I plunged. I still have a little bit of the cinnamon residues. I guess we'll get to show you how I made it. This is cinnamon. It has got ginger in it, and of course the lemon. So nice. Okay, so let's talk about that belly fat and that we get to see in abobaba males. So don't tuck in your belly when I was not saying. Okay, and now there's a movement called body positivity now. I'm not sure what that is, and I guess you guys are young, so you know that people tend to try to look at improving their sense of being or sense of accepting themselves. But what we are talking about, we're not talking six packs and all that. We're talking about health. So when you look at your body, you want to treat your body as a house that you live in. You can't live in a dirty house and say it's house positivity. Now I want to accept it. And I know I went a bit extreme, but what I'm trying to express is it is important to take care of the house, the body that you live in, such that it can carry you through life with a great health. Because with that good health, you can go far with your good health. Your body can do much for you, to carry you, and such that you don't actually spend a lot of time in hospital corridors and things like that. And now that's what we are talking about. So we're not talking about this body is beautiful, not beautiful. We are not there. Those are issues that we are not even trying to talk about. We're talking about health. So in terms of the health, a healthy body is one at which the distribution. Now, when you go to a dietitian, you will come across a conversation around the body composition or the composition of the body. So the body composition is to look at what makes up that body. Your body is made up of fluids, internal organs that are masculine, that are quite heavy. Your internal organs, the bigger bulk of your weight should actually be coming on the inside, your internal organs. You know that your organs are quite heavy, very heavy. So the bulk of your weight should be coming from there. The fluids, waters that are there on the inside of the body. So if you're looking at your total weight, you are, and in looking at the healthy body composition, you are looking at the weight of that, you are looking at the weight of the mass of your bone, and then you're looking around your bone. There will be the muscle around your bone, and of course the fat tissue, and then covered by skin. So in a healthy body composition, the body fat percentage of the body is the one that is supposed to have the least percentage in the composition. So let's say 30% less of the body, and I just picked it up on the top rate of what your total body fat percentage should not be more than. So 30% less, and the rest of the 70% of the body, it must be coming from the weight of your organs, the fluid, the bones, and all those kind of things. I hope now we all understand. So if you're saying your body is healthy, at least a 30% less of your body must be coming from the body fat. And of course, if you are a male, that percentage is even much lesser, like 20% less. And I'm picking it at the high rates. I'm not picking on the ideals. So I prefer to pick it at high and going down. So now when you go see your doctor or you go see your dietitian, and I see that some of the people do their body composition at their gyms, what you are looking at is not how much you weigh. The issue is what makes up that weight. So try and get yourself that body composition assessment, then you can work from them. As for where the waist circumference is concerned, that's where we are talking about lo mkhabanyana loyo, umkhaba mncane kana umkhaba omkhulu, you know, that one back. Sometimes as people age, it becomes into multiple layers of bags. But nonetheless, when you're looking at what will be a healthy waist circumference, even when we talk about the healthy waist circumference, the reflection there is talking about the abdominal fat. When it comes to abdominal fat, we're looking at two things. The fat that is sitting just underneath the skin, but it is not inside of the belly. Ne? So that one, it's a superficial fat. It's under the skin. You can hold your thingy, and then when you do that, you know, it's kind of like jiggle, because that kind of fat, it's superficial. It's sitting between your skin and where that muscle, where the belly is. It's sitting just under the skin. It's not a very dangerous abdominal fat, that one. Even when you lose weight, it can move quite easily. So that kind of is the one that is beje. You know, I like a language, an English word for other people who don't understand our South African medley of languages. It's beje. So you find the fat that is sitting on the is beje. We call it a superficial fat. It's not so dangerous. You just need to exercise it away, and it does not necessarily induce much of the health risks. So There is another type of fat that sits around your belly that is very much dangerous. That is the one that carries a lot of health risks. Now, for males, like as I'm saying today, we're talking about Abu Baba, Amadoda. For males, that fat, it tends to suppress the production of testosterone. So I think for our conversation today, I'm just going to keep it there. So for males, that kind of fat on the belly, it tends to suppress the production of testosterone, and along with many other things. So that type of fat is called the intra-abdominal fat. When you see a doctor or you see a dietitian, that's when they will talk about visceral fat. So that type of fat is that kind of fat that stays on the inside of the belly where your most important internal organs live. So we call it visceral fat. And in simpler word, it's an intra-abdominal fat. That intra meaning inside. Now you understand. So that type of belly fat, you find, if you look at it, that belly fat, you will see like a bag. It is like an airbag shiny. It's like a shiny airbag. It's like it's pumped. Sometimes when you look at it, because the fat is not on the skin, it's not making that tube is beige. It's built right on the inside, and it's lining up the organs. Sometimes it even displaces some of the organs. So that kind of umkaba, it is the one that is very much dangerous. Unfortunately, that kind of umkaba sometimes, or that belly fat, let me not say umkaba, the high excess belly fat, intra-abdominal belly fat, you can also find it on people that are looking medium, moderate, and small. So sometimes you find people that are small but having a high intra-abdominal fat. You can find a thin person that has got an excess visceral body fat. So that's when sometimes we talk about metabolic obesity, and when people are not obese by anthropometry. I know it can sound a bit confusing, but what it means is that you have a thin person that has obesity in what we may call metabolic obesity, because when you do their body composition, they've got a high intra-abdominal body fat. I hope now that makes sense, ne? So thin is not necessarily healthy. What is healthy is what is the composition of that body. So I hope now you understand that this conversation is looking at the metabolics of the body. So now I know that as you are listening to me, you are thinking, who is then now better? I was thinking that I should be thin to be healthy. No. What you're looking for is to have a lower abdominal fat. Is to have a lower abdominal fat. They're disturbing me. So what you're looking at is having a lower abdominal fat, visceral fat, or intra-abdominal fat. I hope now that makes sense. So in the course of life, you look at people, you will see people of different body shapes, body sizes. The ideal of health is to have a waist circumference that has got a lower intra-abdominal fat. I hope we've set that record straight, right? So it's not about being thin, it's not about being medium, moderate one, it's about having a lower visceral fat. That means on the inside of your organs, you will find that the organs are not padded by thick layers of body fat, right? So I hope that makes a little bit more sense, ne? All right. So for men, that intra-abdominal fat, amongst other things that it does, and we'll get to talk about, because the intra-abdominal fat, where it's high, it disturbs a lot of things, like it gives you risks of developing diabetes, it gives you risk of developing kidney failures and many other kind of things. But for today, I just want to look at the way the intra-abdominal fat, when it goes high, it tends to suppress the production of the most important hormone in a male's body, and that is the testosterone. You know, your testosterone as a man is the umbrella for your libidos. You're not going to have a good libido without that testosterone. Also, that testosterone in your body is what keeps you lean. It's easy for you as a young man to maintain a healthier weight. You know, when young men don't really need to exercise, for them to have the wire lines and things like that, these are things that are done by the testosterone hormones. The muscles form easily. A young male can eat anything and still not struggle with the weight and still not struggle with the weight gain, particularly so because their testosterone hormones are actually good and they level up their health. So the health of a male's body to a greater extent has got a lot to do with that testosterone hormone. So when you tamper with the testosterone hormone, you are going to tamper with a lot of many things in your health, especially your bone as a male. Your bone mass and the quality of your bone health is also sitting on your testosterone. So, and I know in the world where people can do anything and everything to try and manipulate your body, I don't know why people want to interfere with the normality of life so much. However, the health of your body as a male is much dependent on the testosterone hormone. So as we spoke about your bone health and your gonads, you know, somebody was asking me, what are gonads? So you can be gonads. I don't know how to explain. Aibagiti, the gonads. So the gonads health are dependent on the balls, the bull's balls, and I'm trying to put it very simple, but I'm trying to find ways that are not medical. So, yeah, much as we say women have got girls, we're referring to the eggs, the ovaries, the gonads, yeah. So the health of the gonads, how they can function, and all that lends. Okay, this one's I'm trying not to go in because in between I'm searching for words, but the gonads that produce the maleness of a male, right? Yeah. So your gonads are also dependent on like you maintaining your healthy waist circumference. So what am I trying to say? When as a man you don't take care of your weight and you find yourself extending, that waist circumference is extending and it's extending, you're going to suppress the production of your sex hormones, testosterone, or the whole grouping of the sex hormones as a male. So you do find, hence nowadays you find a lot of men that are very feminine or softer. And when I say feminine, I don't mean feminine. I mean like the body, the physiology of the body becoming feminine. So you find, instead of having the pectoral chest, like the pectoral muscles on a chest, you know, a male chest and a female chest are not looking the same. But when the testosterone hormones gets very low, the male chest and the female chest tend to look somewhere alike. So you can find a male with boobies, the boobs, as most people will call it. They usually tend to follow where the testosterone levels are kind of lower. And you also tend to find that the skins and everything else, the gonads, they kind of like also get smaller. Many other things do tend to change. Libidos also tends to drop. Much of those things, they're tied into the intra-abdominal fat that you are talking about. So it is very much important for males to consider taking care of their intra-abdominal fat or their waist circumference. All right, I think that part now we get. So with my cinnamon tea, like as I explained, that there are things you can do to better your health at home. You can use your food as your pharmacy to improve your health. So now that we know some of the things that abdominal fat and its impact on the on hormones will be like. So another thing that tends to follow the reduction of the testosterone hormones or the sex hormones is that a male now has got a higher risk of gaining a lot of weight. So you start maybe as somebody that is eating unhealthy, gaining the umkaba, and then the next thing you are gaining a lot of weight. These things go hand in hand because once you start to gain the intra-abdominal fat, your testosterone hormones are lower. And with lower testosterone, you are much more likely your body tends to produce the gynoid hormones. The gynoid hormones are the female versions of hormones that also live in the male body. I hope you know that our bodies have got different ratios, but you have the female hormones and the male hormones. You just have them in different ratios in the body. So as you start to gain a lot more weight as a male, you might, what we normally see is that the female version of the hormones, they tend to raise a little bit more and raise a little bit more. And that's why you get to find males with gynoid features, males with calves and bumps and boobs and all those kind of things. It doesn't mean there are less males. The only thing is that hormonally their endocrinology is not doing good. So what should males do in those conditions? One of the things that you can do, of course, you can see your doctor, assess your body composition, as I discussed with the weight distribution. Assess your body composition, assess your endocrinology. Your doctors know what kind of endocrinology to do for you, if they're going to screen you for the SBHG and things like that. But that all in all will remain in your doctor's consultation to do your hormone profile test. And when you've done that hormone profile test or whatever the screening that the doctor will want to do for you, then you can work on your weight and work on how to better your health. I will tell you one thing for sure. Nowadays, we get to see a lot of people trying to have testosterone shots to lose the weight, especially for males, because the hormone itself, in its nature, like as I said, it does keep the male in a good, healthy weight. However, again, that is the prerogative of the doctor if it's necessary to do that. When you lose the weight naturally, your testosterone hormones are going to naturally raise. So instead of just saying, no, next time, now you might as well start to work at your weight holistically, because either way, it is going to better your sexual health. And when I say sexual health, I don't necessarily mean, we are not talking intercourse, we're just meaning as a physique, as a male person. So much of that health gets to improve a lot with you taking care of your weight. So what are the things that can actually increase intra-abdominal fat in a male's life? The basic things that most men do, and they don't want to be told, that one is not gonna work. So men tends to live on a diet of two things: meat and beer. Just the two things that commonly carries a lot of acidity, both of them, and they also increase a lot of the intra-abdominal fat gain risk. So without going too far, those are the very two things to look at: how much beer you go drink, and how much bush meat they eat, how much meat you eat, and how much beer you drink. So those are just the first two things. Outside of this, a high intake of food items with soya and a high intakes of food with sugar. So when I say food with soya, you might say we don't really eat soya in our diet. But let me tell you something. Most of the industrialized processed foods that you eat have got a high element of soya in them. Soya is used as a filler up in a lot of industrialized food. So if you buy that burger, that patty, if that meat that is in the burger is not 100% pure meat, you can bet it has got soya in it. So the things that we normally buy for school children, unfortunately, like in many countries, especially in my country, in South Africa, the hampers, the lunchbox hampers with polonis, Viennas, salamis, Russians, what do you call them? That package, the petty burgers. These things, they have a lot of saturated fats. They've got a lot of soyas in them. So they've got a lot of fillers in them. And these things, when they come into the body, they tend to raise up what is called metabolic inflammation. And it's very easy to begin to gain that intra-abdominal fat. And this is why you find a lot of our children now chubby. You find smaller baby boys carrying amabele, like you'll find that a lot especially in primary schools, children's school, high schools. You get to find a lot of that because this is cheaper and it is affordable. But there are alternatives that you can do as a parent to also help the health of your boys. Just going back to the basics, like a good bowl of jungle oats in the morning, it's not going to hurt anyone. A good bowl of ting, Setswana, even if you're not a Motswana. I've realized that this thing is very common in many parts of the country, like the sorghum porridge, the fermented sorghum porridge. That two things, they're very basic, easy to access and affordable. They're very easy, can be done by anyone. They don't really demand a lot in terms of cooking skills. Those kind of things in terms of the diet, they do actually quite help a lot. It's also important to look at how much sugar a male person has, because like you say, sugar transforms into fat, and that also tends to impact on you producing a different set of hormones, because the fat tissue in the body is considered another female organ. So the higher the fat you make inside of the belly, it's more like you have another female organ that is going to produce more female hormones, if maybe I may put it in such simpler ways. So now that you know that as you gain a lot of weight, especially if you're gaining a lot of intra-abdominal fat, your male hormones are going to go low, you're going to raise your female hormone peaks, and then increase the risk of other conditions. It is now important to do something about it. So question is, what are you going to do? Baseline, as somebody was asking me, things like this as an adult male, like as I'm saying, quite early in the morning before you eat anything, go for your cinnamon tea. And overall, how you guys cook the meals at home, try to ensure that even if you are afraid of vegetables, vegetables don't bite the king, but vegetables don't bite anyone. Vegetables don't bite.
They're not nice.
Vegetables don't bite. So it will not hurt. And as a man, take charge of your health. Ensure that at least there's that spinach, at least there's that morocco, there's that okra in your diet. There is there's chakalaka oil, yes, but just cook it with light oils. Vegetables don't bite. Ensure that you have them, even like your baseline of fruits or tomatoes, onions, these things that are very much easy. I mean, going to the kitchen, chopping a raw tomato, chopping a raw onion, chopping your cucumbers, raw as the iron. You can put your pinch of salt, put your olive oil if you have, or put, your pepper, your fresh pepper from the garden if you have. That's easy. And then you can put your spinach or your cabbage around. Even you can cook it. It's not hard to do. And then let's close it down with exercise. With exercise, I do get to see, or sometimes you go with Vision Active and you find that they'll be busy with the pumping iron, and then you still find your belly still hanging. So with exercise, try and invest yourself into, like previously we discussed the walks, but try to invest into cardio exercises, or exercises that are called cardio exercises. That can be as simple as like skip a rope when you come back from work, instead of hitting that beer house. Get back home, skip a rope, 20-30 minutes. Take your small boys for a light jog, because you're investing in bettering life for everyone at home, as a man, as a head, as a leader. So you gotta take the leading pack. So do things like that, just your cardio. Even when you get Global Vision Active, try to do your cardio first before you go to lift up iron and weights and things like that. So things like your bicycle, I mean, you can ride a bicycle. It doesn't hurt. Just when you park your car from home, take your bicycle for a ride, even if just a good 3 days a week. And if you're going to go to the beer house, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but at least a good 3-4 days a week, ride your bicycle. Try to look for that kind of a balance. And yeah, hopefully as you do that, your sexual hormones, they're going to get better. And by that I mean things like your testosterone and things like that. I think by now you understand what we mean. So, and that can also help to manage your weight. However, if you struggle quite a lot, you can always see a doctor. You can always go seek a dietitian next to where you are to make things make sense for you. And good luck as you do that. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope we added value. Hit that like button, share with others, and subscribe, most importantly. I love you. Until next time. Bye.